I have gathered everyone here today to make an important announcement. Perhaps some of you will have heard the news already. I am, in fact, planning to rebuild the Jade Chamber.
Rebuild the Jade Chamber? That's a huge project!
So the rumors are true. No wonder the price of building materials has gone up so much lately.
The Jade Chamber means a lot to Lady Ningguang. Getting involved in this would be a huge opportunity.
Lady Ningguang, is there any way we can be of service?
Maybe. Willkommen. Ganz frisch reingedroppt ins Update 2.4. Die richtige Begrüßung bekommt ihr gleich.
Patience. Since the news made it out a few days ago, I have already had many people contacting me to declare an interest in joining the project. Nevertheless, I do have a few matters I should like to entrust to you here today. The building site has been chosen, and most of the materials have been assembled. 3 key items are, however, still outstanding.
Okay, ich kann jetzt schon sagen, die 3 Dinge müssen wir finden.
They are as follows: Sunset Vermillionite, Wonder Cores, and Adepti Sigils.
Ja, die müssen wir alle finden. Ich meine, wo sollen die Adeptin Talismane herbekommen? Obwohl, die haben ja mehr oder weniger Kontakt zu denen. Naja.
Excuse my ignorance, Lady Ningguang. I'm familiar enough with Plostrite, but I've never even heard of those other 2.
Wegen den Armbeinen bin ich hier.
Only sufficiently large pieces of Plostrite, or specifically Vermillionite, may earn themselves the Sunset moniker. This stone is what allows the Jade Chamber to float. Wonder Cores, meanwhile, are the central components of the mechanical structure of the Jade Chamber. Adepti Sigils serve as a means of integrating the mechanical devices with Adepti art. They are as indispensable as the mechanical core itself.
Ergibt jetzt erstmal alles ein bisschen Sinn.
Although these 3 items are rare, I trust that with your connections and capabilities, procuring them will not be a question of if, but of when. I take the saying, time is money, more seriously than most. Efficiency is everything. I will pay a generous price for the materials that you find, and in addition, the first 3 people who collect all the materials will have the opportunity to ask me a question.
Okay, nur eine Frage oder quasi alles, was wir wollen und du musst antworten?
You may ask me anything.
Okay.
And I will give you an honest answer. I trust that this means of compensation will be to everyone's satisfaction.
Ich meine, was ist, wenn Paimon das alles findet und ich das alles finde? Kriegen wir dann 2 Fragen oder trotzdem nur eine, weil wir ein Team sind?
These things won't be easy to get hold of. But if it means a chance to get some inside information on Liyue Harbor's development plan for next year...
Then it's the deal of a lifetime. Information from Lady Ningguang is priceless. Whoever gets to it first takes the market.
Ja, ich meine, Ningguang ist ja mehr oder weniger so die Planwirtschaft-Hexe von Liyue. Wenn man weiß, was für Preise und Co. kommen, kann man sich das für nächstes Jahr schon mal vorbereiten.
Haha, what a coincidence! I won't divulge too much, but I heard some murmurings about some Plostrite just the other day. So excuse me all, but, I have some business to do.
Es ist auch schon mal wieder in Liebe zu sein. Monstert wäre mir lieber, aber Liebe ist auch gut.
We better move quickly, or this opportunity will be snatched away from us.
Ningguang's rebuilding the Jade Chamber? This is a huge deal! Let's get involved!
Meow.
So you heard my announcement, did you? What do you think? Interested?
Kommt drauf an, was ich alles fragen darf.
Yes. Providing the question pertains to something I am knowledgeable about.
Vielleicht kann ich einfach so meine Schwester rausfinden. Nein, also ich glaube nicht, dass Ningguang Sachen über die Schwester weiß, groß. Wenn, dann eher die Adepten selber. Aber die sagen, genauso wie die Archons, wie die Archonten, aka Venti, Zhongli und bla bla bla, sagen dazu nichts. Die müssten sie erkennen.
Really? Ooh, then Paimon will ask you about how to run a business! Then we'll never be short of Mora ever again!
Of course. But how much information I share with you will depend on your performance.
Performance ist perfekt, kein
The
Ding.
construction of the Jade Chamber requires a great deal of space. The abandoned mine outside the Golden House has been selected as the building site. Once you have collected the materials, please take them there.
Okay.
I have other business to attend to now. Otherwise, I would gladly escort you to the site in person. When you remember,
Ups.
this is a race against the clock. A rare opportunity presents itself to you. Do not let somebody else snatch it from your grasp.
Kein Ding, ich schaff das. Bye, Ningguang.
Ningguang seems super busy. Come on, we'd better get going. First, we gotta get out of Eugene Terrace. Huh? Look, it seems like there's something kind of fishy going on over there.
Der neue Charakter.
You seem like an eminent and distinguished young lady to me. I can see that you're easily gonna win this procurement contest Lady Ningguang has set up. As it happens, we have some information about the materials that I really think might interest you. Come on, let's find somewhere a little more private, and we can get down to brass tacks.
No, I don't need it.
Don't be like that. Hey, come on, don't go!
Das ist Chongyuns Schwester.
Why don't you stand there? After her!
Oh, right, yeah.
Xiao der Starke. Ich habe das Gefühl, dass er nicht so stark ist. Die nette Dame hatte ein Auge. Und er nicht. Just saying. Just saying. Heimker des Kranichs mit dem Wind. Und das ist unser Auftakt in das neue... Paimon, halt doch mal den Maul. In das neue Update 2.4.
Information's just what we need right now. Let's follow them and see what we can find out.
Mach ich doch, Paimon. Ne, wir können unter anderem so geile Sachen machen, wie ins Hangonomia reingehen. Das werdet ihr vielleicht auch noch in einem Video sehen, demnächst. Und je nachdem, wie schnell ich bin, seht ihr das hier oder Crystals zuerst. Wenn ihr Crystals zuerst gesehen habt, cool. Wenn ihr das zuerst gesehen habt, es kommt noch ein Crystals-Video.
They're not here. Let's keep looking.
Moin.
Well, will you look at that, ma'am? Nowhere left to run. Don't worry, we're not bad guys. You give us some mora, we give you a little info. Everybody's a winner.
Boss, I got a bad feeling about this. Look at her, the white hair, the energy she gives off. I'm telling you, there's something different about her.
Ja, sie hat nicht so Kackklamotten wie der andere selbst. Und wer das in dem Spiel hat, ist irgendwie so ein mehr oder weniger wichtiger Charakter. Just saying.
So what? She's loaded. How are we ever going to repay those gambling debts if we just let money walk away from us, huh?
I've already told you. I don't need your information. If you still can't grasp that, I'm happy to repeat it in a way that won't be so easy to forget.
Deine Augen sind ein bisschen weird.
Come on, ma'am. You seem like an intelligent lady. I shouldn't have to spell this out to you.
Ihr seht nicht schlau aus, also solltet ihr das nicht tun.
It's not about whether you need the info or not, okay? It's about you taking out your money and handing it over and nobody getting hurt.
Die Wache so, nicht mein
I
Problem.
won't.
No more excuses! I know you have money. I saw you. Yeah, I saw you. Strolling into Leo Lee Pavilion, ordering a table full of food, and only taking a few bites.
Ja, okay, muss jetzt nicht unbedingt sagen, dass sie Geld hat, vielleicht kennt sie einfach nur den
Then
Besitzer.
Xinyu Kiosk, then YunYin Restaurant. Same story each time. You order all the signature dishes, take a few bites, then you're on your way again.
Vielleicht ist sie auch ein Restaurant-Tester, Influencer, whatever. Die kriegt das einfach so umsonst.
How could you afford to be so wasteful if you weren't from a rich family? And since you're so rich, what's the loss to you in giving us a little spare change, huh?
Master warned me not to lay a hand on anyone in Liyue Harbor. But here we are. Perhaps... yes. Let's call it fate.
Genau den gleichen Shit, den Chongyun auch macht mit seinen komischen Siegeln da.
Boss, I'm telling you, something's not right.
Oh, ich dachte, du bist der Schlaue. Ach nee, du bist der Starke.
Afraid of? We're just selling information. It's not illegal. If she lays a finger on us, all the better. We'll sue her for everything she's worth.
Diese Typen kaufen und verkaufen mit Gewalt. So kann man Erpressung auch nennen.
Oh, you again.
Millilith? What are the Millilith doing here? Did you do this? You ought to mind your own business. I swear.
Silence! How dare you threaten innocent civilians? You're coming with us.
Halt echt so.
No, don't be angry, sir. Please, let me explain.
Nein. Bye. Alles cool? Oder brauchst du noch 5 Minuten?
Shenhe.
Shenhe. Okay, merke ich mir.
Shenhe?
She, he. Sie und er.
My name.
Oh, so your name's Shenhe. Paimon's name is, well, Paimon. And this is Paimon's travel buddy.
Hi.
I've heard about you two before. Thank you for helping to defuse the situation. I could have dealt with it myself, though. I suspect smashing his head against the ground a handful of times is all it would have taken to get him to surrender.
Okay. Okay.
You can't do that. That's way too violent.
Na, sie kann das.
This is Lila Harbor. There are laws against that kind of stuff, you know.
Laws.
Gesetze. Weißt du, wie Gesetze funktionieren, Shenhe?
No. Apparently not.
Oh. Gut. Dann mach einfach weiter.
Really? So how exactly have you...
Hat Paimon oder hat sie Hunger? Oder
That
beide?
would be my stomach growling. I haven't eaten enough.
She's so honest. Wait, that's right. They said you went around all the restaurants ordering this and that and the other, but only took a small bite of each dish. Then of course you're still hungry. So, anything in particular you're hungry for?
Eis.
Chingson, glaze lily, violet grass. These are my usuals.
Das sind so Kräuter. Also quasi Salat.
Medicinal herbs?
Kinda hard to explain. Anyway, Boo Pharmacy's not far away. Let's take Shenhe there for a big medicinal meal.
Ich meine, man hätte es auch einfach Bubu Apotheke nennen können, weil die nennen es halt literally Pharmacy in Englischen, aber hey.
After all, you can't work on an empty stomach.
Aber ich muss da eh hin, also von daher.
Do you
Muss
think
neue
Shenhe
Glaslilien
might be
kaufen.
an Adeptus?
Nee, Glaslilien?
Seems like it's her first time in Liyue Harbor, and she doesn't seem to get how things work here. If she is an Adeptus, that would explain everything. Where does she fit in with the other Adepti, though?
Paimon.
I'm super curious.
Was haben die sich dabei gedacht? Von da unten nach hier brauche ich doch nicht 5 Minuten, dass Paimon so viel labern darf.
Are you
Die
here to buy
Glöckchen
some
da, die an den
herbs?
Klippen wachsen,
I
die
do
wollte ich
hope you
haben.
brought your prescription.
Chingson, glaze lily, and violet grass, please. Half a pound of each.
Das ist einiges.
What kind of prescription is this? Sounds more like a lunch order. Oh, here you go. That's everything we have in stock.
Thank you.
Das ging schnell.
She's really eating them.
Nom nom.
My hunger has now abated. Thank you.
War es denn wenigstens lecker? I mean.
Rather awful.
Oh, okay.
Though they were not completely devoid of sweet fragrance. After consuming a large quantity of them, bitterness is all that remains.
So, how come you chow down on these and barely touch the restaurant food? If Paimon had enough Mora, Paimon would go to the fanciest restaurant in town and order a whole table of food and eat it all in one go.
Ja, vielleicht ist es ja so wie so ein Chongyun. Vielleicht können die einfach gar nichts ab.
Because I'm not sure whether I will remain here in the future. The food of the mortal realm is most delicious, But should I return to the mountains, yearning for the food here shall only pose an obstacle to my continued spiritual development.
Okay, menschliche Mahlzeit, zurück in die Berge, maybe Adept.
Sampling
Sehr
each dish in
möglich.
order to appreciate its taste is enough.
Return to the mountains. That proves it. Paimon knew she was an adeptess.
Enough about me.
Würde
What
Sinn
are your
ergeben.
plans from here?
Ich will deinen Adepten-Gutschein oder Siegel, wie das Ding heißt, haben.
Oh, right. Paimon almost forgot. We came out to take part in the Rebuild the Jade Chamber competition. And now we're probably super behind because we've been held up for so long.
I see. I heard something about the contest when I was passing by.
Yep! You get to ask Ningguang any question you want if you win! Were you interested in the contest too, Shenhe?
Ich glaube, die kennt schon alle Antworten.
I came for the rebuilding of the Jade Chamber, but until this point I had no intention of joining a contest.
Okay, also die ist wohl doch bekannt mit Ningguang.
However, you have shown me your kindness, and I would now like to lend you my assistance. Oh, don't worry. I ask for nothing in return.
Ausnahmsweise mal.
Wow! You really don't have to.
Doch, ich will einfach nur mal Sachen haben, ohne dass ich was dafür tun muss. Bitte.
But having an Adeptus help out will make things a whole lot easier, so...
Auf geht's.
Then let's not delay. I have a plan.
Okay, cool.
Great! Paimon bets this is gonna be the awesomest plan ever!
Das wird jetzt ein richtig dummer Plan.
I am not sure whether or to what extent this plan can be classified as awesome. I do, however, believe it will be highly effective.
Okay, effiziente Pläne sind nie so geil. Die sind immer sehr, wie soll ich sagen, ins Gesicht.
We simply need to dispose of everyone who is currently ahead of us. Then, we alone shall become the victors.
Es ist nicht falsch, aber es ist sehr falsch.
Veto! That is not acceptable! Not by a long shot!
Really? But I hear that competition is in essence about conflict and one-upmanship.
Ja, aber nicht so.
Look, we want to win this competition fair and square, okay? Sunset Vermilionite, Wonder Cores, and Adepti Sigils. Let's start at the top of the list and work down. So, for Plustrite...
I was wondering who I could hear arguing over there.
Ah.
So, it's you.
Seht ihr wieder, was da an seinem Bein rumhängt? Ein Auge, ein Dendro-Auge.
Beidou, what are you doing out here?
Der erste und einzige bekannte Dendro-Mensch, den wir noch nie kämpfen gesehen haben oder noch nie mit ihm kämpfen durften.
Lady Ningguang wishes to purchase a large batch of wound dressing. We're running low at the store, so I came out to fetch the ingredients personally.
Oh, das ist doof. Wir haben die, glaube ich, alle gerade gegessen.
Huh? How come Lady Ningguang needs so much wound dressing all of a sudden?
I'm not too sure. I did hear she's looking to rebuild the Jade Chamber. Maybe for its first aid on site? I didn't ask, though. Far be it from me to pry into my customers' personal affairs. Oh, and she also borrowed Chi-Chi. Meaning Boo Boo Pharmacy is very short-handed right now. I
Warum kann ich mir Chi-Chi nicht einfach ausleihen?
Part-time work, by any chance?
Ist ja gar nicht so schlecht.
No, we've got other stuff to do. While you're here though, you seem to know a lot. Have you ever heard of something called Sunset Vermilionite?
Ah, the variety of Plostrite used in the Jade Chamber, yes? There is some mention of it in the Seven Mountain Treatises. When activated, Sunset Vermilionite rises up all the way into the clouds. It's very rare indeed.
Ich meine, das ist ein Stein, oder? Also sollte Zhongli doch alles drüber wissen.
As far as the records show, virtually all Sunset Vermilionite in existence has been mined and taken possession of. But the Feiyun Commerce Guild would know far more about this than I do.
Das heißt, Xingqiu ist doch ein Feiyun-Dude, oder?
Let's get the Feiyun Commerce Guild. Thanks, Beidou.
You're quite welcome. Good luck to you all. And if there's anything further you need from me, Just come to the Boo-Boo Pharmacy.
Ich will, dass du deine Geheimnisse offenlegst. Okay. Gehen wir dann doch mal zur Händlergilde und finden Xingqiu. Ha, ich hab's doch gesagt. Na, wo ist Xingqiu hin?
Master Xingqiu, thank goodness you're finally back.
Ja, moin.
Why do I detect an urgency in your voice?
The guild has had a whole string of strange orders in recently. Everyone's been completely caught off guard. Your father gave me specific instructions to ask you to stay and help out if I happen to see you.
Oh no, er muss einmal arbeiten.
I see.
Kann das nicht sein
Have
Bruder
someone
machen?
sort the orders by type for now. I'll deal with them myself shortly.
Ich meine, er ist kompetent
Oh,
anscheinend.
how wonderful. Thank you, Master. With you on the job, I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Er ist wohl auch gar nicht so schlecht, also wenn er drüber so redet.
Xingqiu, glad you're here.
Hi.
We want to ask you for some information.
Traveler, Paimon, please wait a moment.
Okay.
Shu, I need to entertain some guests. Please continue with your work for the time being, and we'll discuss the matter of the guild's orders in more detail later on.
Understood, Master Xingqiu. Then I will leave you in peace.
Okay, bye.
I wasn't counting on finding you here today. What's going on? And how, pray tell, may I be of service?
Wir brauchen geilen Stein von dir.
Xingqiu, have you ever heard of sunset vermilionite?
Oh, I see. So you've entered Lady Ningguang's contest as well.
As well? Do you mean...
The truth is, the Feiyun Commerce Guild is in possession of some sunset vermilionite, but only one piece.
Ja, wir sind doch Bros. Come on.
We are holding it on behalf of someone who has asked us to put it up for auction, and a lot of interested parties have already come to us inquiring about the price.
Versteigerung ist
At
doof.
the end of the day, it all comes down to supply and demand. In this case, I'm guessing the final transaction price may be in excess of 500 million mora.
Ich glaube, so viel habe ich nicht.
500 million?
Honestly, I would recommend that you don't bother bidding on this one. The price is greatly inflated, and it's just not worth it.
Ja, wollte gerade sagen, das lohnt sich ja überhaupt nicht.
Without any sunset vermilionite?
Don't panic. I don't suppose you ever heard of Sea Gazer?
Doch.
Who?
Das müsste doch, also ist das nicht das, nee, das war Usil. Das Viech, was sie mit der Jadekammer umgebracht haben.
Sea Gazer was once very close to Mountain Shaper, but if I am not mistaken, he has already passed away.
Oh, das ist aber doof.
Yes, precisely. I didn't know anyone else knew about him. According to records of drifting clouds, Sea Gazer once built an abode to store his rarest and most exquisite treasures, among which was some sunset vermilionite.
Also müssen wir den geilen Adler nur ein bisschen fragen und der gibt uns
After
das.
Sea
Easy.
Gazer passed, the abode was abandoned, and its location was lost to time. Luckily, I came into possession of a stack of folk history books just recently. They make some oblique references to this lost abode, and after cross-referencing them against each other, I'm now fairly certain that it is situated in the Lisha area.
Kommst du mit?
That's great! But is it really okay for us to just go and take his treasure? Wouldn't it be a little, disrespectful? With him being an Adeptus?
Ach, Quatsch.
You needn't worry. As far as I understand, Sea Gazer was very open-minded. Even while he was alive, he wouldn't have let something like this bother him.
Oh, das ist nicht so wie die anderen Adepten
Open-minded?
tatsächlich.
I have not heard of Sea Gazer being described in this way before. May I ask where you read that?
Ja, die kennt ihn einfach.
Just a rumor I heard out in the mountains. All right then, let's go. There's something about this young lady that reminds me of a good friend of mine.
Einer Freundin.
Oh, I almost forgot. Adepti abodes
Ich
tend
hätte
to
jetzt eher
have very
Freund gedacht, so
ingenious
wegen
designs,
Chongyun, aber gut.
especially when it comes to their defense mechanisms. Plus, it's likely to be crawling with monsters after being abandoned for so long. So please, be very careful.
Ja, bla bla, wir sind gut, wir können das.
We will be. Thanks, Xingqiu.
Ah, hier war ich schon mal. Normalerweise sind hier so Kryoschleime, die uns immer nerven.
Xingqiu said it should be around here, but Paimon doesn't see anything.
Okay. Jetzt regnend gemacht.
This place was hidden using a special Adepti art. But now that I have removed it, we can inspect the area more closely.
Okay, ich guck noch mal.
Wow, that's amazing! Yep, let's take another look around. Hey, look! Is that a new Sealy over there?
Oh, hi. Wie geht's dir? Du warst vorher nicht hier. Wo möchtest du hin? Warum hat er auf einmal aufgehört zu fliegen?
The Sealy got to here and then disappeared. Should we go over and take a look?
Ah, okay. Ja, wir gehen hier nicht nach Meta. Wir gehen hier nach Aussehen.
Weren't we at a waterfall just now? How did we suddenly end up here? Oh, so many clouds. It feels like we're high up in the sky.
I believe this is the abode of that Adeptus. With any luck, the sunset Vermilionite we're looking for should be in here.
Really? Let Paimon see. Huh? Isn't that the Sealy from before? Look, it's gone and snuck beneath the clouds.
Bye, Silly.
And now that Paimon takes a closer look, the rocks and trees here don't seem complete. Oh, could there be something below the clouds?
Ja, Shenhe, was denkst
These are
du?
not real clouds. They are the product of an Adepti art used for spatial partitioning.
Ah,
If we want to go down, we must first destroy the mechanism that is maintaining the Adepti art.
All right, then let's do it.
I sense the presence of monsters in this place. I don't know where they are hiding, so we'd better be careful.
Ja, das schaffe ich. Okay, ich kann wohl einfach hier lang gehen immer. Dann versuchen wir das mal. Okay. Okay. Schwupp. Kann ich dahin fliegen? Ist da irgendwas?
By ordinance divine.
Okay, cool. Boah, und dann macht sie so ein Feld, was Damage macht immer wieder. Cool. Ja, gut, sie macht Damage. So ist nicht, ne?
Oh, the core of the mechanism is exposed. Now's our chance.
Easy. Broken. Ach so, und dann fallen wir einfach. Einfach auf Go wechseln, damit er einen in die Fresse kriegt.
But before that, let's destroy the guard mechanisms on this level first.
Das finde ich jetzt nicht so nett. Wie war es sein? Diesmal falle ich ja gar nicht runter. Hallöchen, kleiner Roboter.
We're gonna fall. This time we're really gonna fall. Luckily there is a pool of water at the bottom.
Und eine Kiste.
That could have ended very differently. Hey! That Sealy's on the move again. Let's catch up with it.
Ups.
Huh. Something looks different about this stone wall. Let's take a closer look.
Ich kann die Wand schieben. Okay. Oh. I don't like this puzzle. Aha. Hier ist Schluss. Hier auch. Ah, da geht's weiter.
Barely a scratch. From whence you came, a touch of frost. Forth, my fills the end.
Ja gut, er ist einfach gestorben. Ohne Grund. Ah nee, das Ding macht Damage.
In your dreams. No, it's
Ja, danke. Warum? Also... Das ist halt echt eins der schlechtesten Sachen in diesem Game, dass sowas erlaubt ist. So, das ist so einfach traurig, Mann. Dass solche Interaktionen möglich sind, dass man einfach so 3 Millionen Damage kriegt, ohne verfickten Grund. So, fertig. Hoffentlich. I hope. Bisschen Heilung auf dem Weg wäre jetzt auch nicht schlecht gewesen.
Look, over there! Could that be the sunset vermilionite?
Sehr gut möglich. So ein interessantes Plätzchen. Oh, cool. Kurze Pause machen. Und weiter. Super steile Treppe. Wer kennt sie nicht?
Is this it? Is this the sunset vermilionite? It's so huge!
Ich meine, die Jade-Ding ist ja auch groß, ne? Also passt ja.
That's true, but then again, why isn't it floating?
Weil es noch nicht aktiviert ist, Paimon.
Prostrate doesn't float until it's activated. It may look different from most ordinary stones, but it weighs around the same amount. Only after being activated does Prostrate reveal its true nature, breaking free from the shackles of the mortal realm and ascending up into the heavens.
Wow, Shenhe, you seem to know everything about this.
Only because my master is fond of chatting about these things. The moment she has some time to spare, she'll come straight for me and start telling story after story. I don't care for her stories most of the time. I certainly didn't expect them to ever come in handy like this.
Und wer ist deine Meisterin, wenn ich fragen darf?
Hold on a sec. Paimon just realized something. If we activate it here, there's no way we'll be able to get it back to the site, right? Heck, we'll be dragged up into the sky too!
Ja, und wie willst du ihn hier rausbringen? Du kannst ihn nicht tragen.
If we don't activate it, how else are we gonna lift it? This rock must weigh well over 1,000 pounds, surely!
Don't worry. I can handle the weight quite easily.
Ach so.
Are you sure?
Please don't worry. I'm well aware that a Prostrate sample this large must be highly valuable. I will be gentle with it and make sure it does not get damaged.
Ja, sei vorsichtig.
My safety.
Keine Ahnung, ich weiß nicht mal, was du bist.
That's right! Paimon's sure you can handle it and everything, but if something this heavy lands on you, you're gonna get yourself hurt, no matter who you are. You gotta be extra careful when lifting heavy objects. It's just common sense.
Is it now? Well then, thank you. I'll go on ahead with the Prostrate. Let's meet at the building site later.
Okay, gut. Machen wir so. Oh, das hätte ich gern gesehen.
Carry that huge rock all by yourself.
Unfair.
Adept super strength much? We can't slow down yet. Let's go meet her at the building site.
Das hatte ich auch vor, aber du redest so viel. Ich frage mich, wie das für neue Spieler ist. Wenn die hier hinkommen, ist das Zeugauto sowieso immer da oder erst nach der Quest quasi? Moin.
Oh my god, I can't believe my eyes.
How can she lift that massive rock all by herself? She's got to be one of those Adepti, surely.
Oh, mighty Adeptus, please give me your blessing so that in the coming year I may reap a more bountiful salary.
Schließe ich mich an.
This is top tier in size and quality, and the condition it's in is quite simply immaculate. Congratulations, this item is approved for submission.
Hat sie jetzt das Ding gebracht oder ich?
I'm going to award you full marks for the Sunset Vermilionite item. May I take your name?
Nee, das ist meiner, nicht ihrer.
My name isn't important. I'm not even here to compete.
Wollte gerade sagen.
I was just delivering this for some other people. They should be here any minute now.
Shenhe and Ningguang's little helper.
Ningguang's little helper.
Ah, so you're the ones behind this. No wonder. The rarest talent turns in the rarest Prostrate specimen. But I have to correct you on one point. It's not helper, it's secretary.
Ist das Gleiche.
Okay then, Miss Secretary, what do you think of the rock we found? Pretty amazing, right?
In truth, it is the finest piece of plastrite we have received so far.
Und wir haben nicht 500 Millionen dafür ausgegeben.
If everything goes according to plan, we will use this piece in the foundation of the Jade Chamber, which will enable us to proceed to the next stage of construction. As a side note, Lady Ningguang has rented some dwellings in the nearby area to serve as accommodations for the contestants.
Ja,
If
bitte.
you need a place to rest, you are welcome to stay there.
Ich meine, ich habe einen Teepot, in dem ich halt immer schlafen kann, aber hey, warum
Now,
nicht?
please excuse me. As you can see, there is still a lot of work to do on the building site.
Bye, Wen.
Just now on the way over, pretty much everyone was singing your praises.
Oh, really?
Ja,
What
warum
kind
nicht?
of reaction is that? So strange. Aren't you happy about it? Whenever Paimon gets praised, Paimon can't help but hold their head up high and break into a big smug smile.
I've had similar compliments before.
Okay, cool.
They call
Wieder
me an
die krasse
adeptus,
Dude.
treat me with great deference and respect, as if I'm set apart from the common folk.
Ja, aber bist du doch, oder nicht? Also,
Because that's how adepti are. At least the ones we've met are pretty unique and reclusive too.
also ist sie doch kein
Different than
Adept.
normal people.
But I am not.
Shenhe?
I'm fine. I've been exerting myself quite a lot ever since we set foot in that abode. I'm just a little fatigued.
Okay, sie ist keine Adeptin, kann aber Adept-Magie benutzen.
Well, Byron said that there are some makeshift hotels we can use, right? Let's go check in and take a rest.
No need. I simply need to find myself a secluded place in the wilderness to sit and meditate in silence.
You can't do that. It's dangerous out in the wild on your own. When you're hungry, you go eat something tasty. And when you're tired, you go lie down in a nice, comfy bed. All right?
Ja, so
Seriously,
ein bisschen recht hat sie ja auch, ne? Also,
Okay. If you insist.
Great! Now we're talking. Let's head to our hotel.
so, muss ich auch hier hoch? Nein, das wird doch da unten sein. Chongyun stolpert nicht über die Treppen. Hi. Mag das Kabel heile. Nicht das Kabel, die Schnur. Das Seil. So, jetzt habe ich das Haus gefunden. Das ist ein kleines Haus, aber es reicht ja für eine Person, theoretisch. Hi.
Hi there. Checking in, are we? You're just in time. We only have 2 rooms left.
Mhm, ich glaube, ihr habt nicht mal einen Raum. Also, es ist gerade mal ein Raum in
Since
den
this
ganzen
was chosen
Ding.
as the building site for the new Jade Chamber, we've had a constant stream of people in this area. And not just workers either. Visitors, business people, tea sellers, all sorts. So, business is booming for me today. Very few vacancies. You're lucky you got here when you did.
Das ist doch gut. Wir nehmen
One
alle
of your
deine Zimmer.
rooms is still being cleaned. I guess it should be ready within the hour. The other room is just to the door on the left.
Hast du mal gesehen, was dein Haus ist? Da gibt's
Here are your keys. All right. Hope you enjoy your stay.
Egal.
Please excuse me, I'll leave you to it.
Shenhe, you should go get some rest. We'll hang around outside until the other room's ready. Paimon's gonna go see if there's anything good to eat around here. Paimon couldn't help but notice one of the guests walk in with a huge grilled chicken.
Einer der Gäste? Wie viele sind denn in dem kleinen Haus?
Fun for Shenhe too. She can have it as a midnight snack, or save it for breakfast tomorrow.
All right. I will head to my room for now. If you need anything, don't hesitate to disturb me. I'm a light sleeper. I will hear if you knock on the door.
Okay, bis morgen.
See you tomorrow.
Frage ist, geht's jetzt wirklich morgen?
Isn't that cloud retainer? What's she doing here? Let's go and say
Boah,
hi.
gerade sagen, lass doch mal Hi sagen. Wollte gerade sagen, sehen wir die wirklich erst morgen oder passiert jetzt noch was? Und ist morgen oder quasi im Spiel nur morgen? Die kann auch mal runterkommen, die muss immer irgendwo oben stehen, ne, die dumme Kuh.
One trusts you have met Shenhe. So, are you getting along quite well?
Ja.
So far, so good. Yeah. So, you know Shenhe True Cloud Retainer?
Naturally. Save for Ganyu, who spends the majority of her time in Liyue Harbor. All the Adepti living today are acquainted with Shenhe to some degree.
Das heißt, Ganyu hat null Plan, was Shenhe ist, aber die anderen Adepten wohl schon.
Oh, so, what's her Adeptus name anyway? Calling her Shenhe feels kind of friendly, but also kind of disrespectful. So Paimon's thinking maybe it'd be better if we called her by her Adeptus name instead.
Aber die hat doch keinen Adeptennamen.
Her Adeptus name? Why, pray tell, would Shenhe have an Adeptus name?
Don't all Adepti have a special title they go by?
Ja, aber sie ist ja keiner.
On this latter point, you are correct. However, Shenhe is human.
Oh, right. Wait, what? You knew already?
Ja.
So is Paimon the only one who didn't know?
Ja, du bist die Einzige.
Do you mean to say that she presents differently from ordinary human beings?
Well, to start with, her problem-solving methods are extremely direct.
Ja.
Yes. She was like this all those years ago when one first met her. In this respect, she has not changed. One first found Shenhe by chance in a cave. One was passing by and sensed the presence of a god's remains. Being of an ever-vigilant disposition, one entered immediately to inspect the scene.
Okay, also die Überreste eines Gottes und Shenhe war daneben.
Inside was Shenhe, then aged around 6 years old. In her hand, she held a dagger with which she was confronting a monster that was the god's remains incarnate.
Okay.
That sounds so dangerous.
When one arrived, she had already been locked in confrontation with this monster for several days. Most mortal children are fragile, both physically and mentally, and are highly reliant on their parents for survival. But not so her.
Okay, also sie konnte als Kind sich tagelang mit einem Monster messen. Okay.
That she was able to endure such terrible danger was due not only to her strong willpower, but also to the bloodlust and homicidal instinct with which she was born.
Okay, ein Psychopath also. Cool.
One dealt with the monster, yet she still refused to lower her guard. She even pointed her dagger in one's direction and remained ready to strike. Only after she was satisfied that one had no intention to cause her harm did she finally relent.
In other words, if you hadn't passed by that day, Shenhe might have...
Ja, die könnte dead sein.
Not necessarily. Upon one's arrival, one could sense that the god's wrath was gradually receding. Even had the stalemate continued, one suspects that Shenhe may have still emerged the victor of the confrontation.
That's still so dangerous, though. Why was a tiny little kid battling against the wrath of a god in the first place?
Alas, the mortal world is rife with suffering of every kind. And she had experienced her fair share of this, even at a tender age. Seeing that she was homeless,
du die
one
krasse
decided
Meisterin.
to adopt her. Indeed, it is one to whom she refers. Shenhe has an extraordinary constitution, making her well adapted to practicing the Adepti arts. All the Adepti cherished her talents, and so we were willing to train her. However, her homicidal urges did not subside with age. Rather, they grew stronger day by day.
Das ist nicht gut.
Mooncarver once performed a divination for her. He declared that her fate is to bear the curse of calamity. Consumed by malevolent energy, she is prone to bring harm to those around her. Such is the magnitude of the danger this poses, that her soul must be bound with red ropes to keep her homicidal instinct at bay.
Ja, eine schöne Schleife binden und schon ist sie geheilt.
Red ropes have indeed served to keep her calmer and more content. They also seem to have rendered her somewhat inexpressive. Perhaps the red ropes are so powerful that they have suppressed some of her other emotions as well.
Ja, okay. Da ist sie ja wieder. Die hat uns reden gehört.
It is only by fate that people's paths may cross. Now that Shenhe's path has crossed with yours, please be sure to treasure the gift that fate has given you, and take good care of her.
Oh, now Paimon gets it. You came out here to check up on Shenhe because you were worried about her, didn't you?
Huh. You dare draw such a facile conclusion on the nature of one's present excursion? Incorrect. The truth is that while Liyue Harbor may seem peaceful today, danger is always lurking in the shadows.
Ja, es ist sehr friedlich hier. Wir hatten nur Chalde, der amok gelaufen ist. Euer Gott ist gestorben. Ihr habt eine riesen Wasserschlange gehabt, euch was das Leben genommen hat. Die Fatui haben euch angegriffen, klar.
Ningguang once made a bold assertion that this is to be the era of the contract between Liyue and the humans. Well, one is most curious to observe how she will respond to the coming storm. If she handles it admirably, one is willing to be a witness to her achievements. But if she does not, the Adepti shall not hesitate to seize control.
Ja gut, das ist aber nicht schlimm, also wir haben einen
Let us
Backup-Plan.
conclude our conversation here for today. One has occupied enough of your time, and night is approaching.
So, Shenhe isn't an Adeptus after all. She just grew up around the Adepti.
Kann ich hier reiten?
Oh, no wonder she doesn't like being treated as an Adeptus. Having everyone falling over themselves to show their respect all the time must be kind of hard to deal with.
Nein, ich kann nicht auf ihr reiten. Ja, noch langsamer. Hi, Shenhe.
Hey, so, Shenhe...
Master has relayed my situation to you, I take it?
Ah, die Rundenwände anscheinend.
How did you know?
I'd intended to wait until you came back before going to sleep, but I didn't hear you come in.
Whoops.
I was worried that something may have happened to you, so I went outside to check and caught sight of my master. On top of this, you have been acting very strangely around me this morning, causing me to suspect that my master must have told you everything about me.
Ja, sorry.
After all, Master is... very talkative.
Sorry, Shenhe. Paimon had you down as an Adeptus this whole time, but it turns out Paimon was wrong.
It's okay. I don't mind. The fault is mine for not explaining everything to you sooner, because in my experience, trying to explain is a futile pursuit.
Ja gut, aber wir sind ja smart.
Still, though you mistook me for an Adeptus, you never treated me as distant and unapproachable. Instead, you treated me as you would a friend.
Ja gut, weil wir aber auch jeden Adepten wegklatschen würden. Also...
For this,
I mean...
I am very grateful indeed.
To be fair, we've met our fair share of real Adepti, too.
Und wir haben gegen Götter gekämpft.
Anyway, now it's settled. From now on, you're our friend. Whether you're an Adeptus or a human isn't the important thing. First and foremost, we're just plain old friends.
Got it. Although I don't know quite what it entails in terms of what I have to do, I must say I like the title friend very much indeed.
Ja, apropos Freund, was hat Xing schon mit Freundin gemeint?
Great! Well, now that we're all rested up, we should start searching for the other 2 items on the list. But before we do that, let's go to the building site and ask Ningguang's little helper how the progress is going.
Du sollst sie doch nicht Ningguangs kleine Helperin nennen.
After all, sunset vermilionite is so rare. Paimon doubts many competitors will really be able to find any. If it turns out some of them have given up already, we'll be able to take things a little more slowly. Oh, and another thing. We bought some grilled chicken drumsticks on the way back last night. There was a place just outside. Here's one for you, Shenhe. Try it. They're so good.
I concur. It has a rich flavor, far more agreeable than those I've cooked for myself in the wilderness in the past.
Wann haben die das gebaut? Das schwebt ja schon. Chongyun stolpert wieder über die Treppen. Beruhig dich doch. Der stirbt halt beim Hochgehen.
Look! The Jade Chamber is floating into the sky! But it seems to be tied down by something.
That's because it's not finished.
Ah, bye, Win. Hi, Win.
And hey, Beidou! And hey, person Paimon doesn't know?
Given the enormous scale of the Jade Chamber, we split the construction work into 2 phases to make sure the structure remains balanced. Before we find some suitable plastrite, we build the Jade Chamber's keel at ground level. Once the plastrite is ready, we place it into the keel and let the partially constructed Jade Chamber rise up to the height of the surrounding mountain peaks. The remainder of the construction work is then carried out at that altitude. Once everything is ready, we release the iron tethers and allow the Jade Chamber to rise to its target altitude.
Hört sich nach einem Plan an. Was macht
We've brought
Beidou
some new
hier?
materials to submit.
One moment, I'll be right there. The construction work has only been able to progress this rapidly thanks to the plastrite provided by you. Lady Ningguang is most grateful and looks forward to seeing more of your work.
Ich komme bei so einem ganzen Scheckbuch an Adepten-Gutschein. Siegeln an, meine ich.
Wow, can't believe you sourced the plastrite so quickly. It's the key piece of the puzzle. Looks like you beat us to the punch.
Beidou, you're joining the Jade Chamber contest too?
Beidou nicht an jedem Wettbewerb teil.
Sure am. I happened to get my hands on a chunk of sunset vermilionite on a voyage a while back, so I figured I'd bring it over.
Huh. So even though it's rare, we're not the only ones who managed to get a hold of it.
Oh, I've got some introductions to do. This is the renowned Miss Yun, or YunYin, probably the most famous figure in the Liyue opera scene.
Greetings.
Moin. Gut, dass sie eine richtige Storyquest bekommt und wie heißt sie denn nochmal? Xingqian nur ein, ja, Eichhorn-Auftrag.
These two are Paimon and the Traveler, both good buddies of mine. And this is, sorry, not sure we've met.
Shenhe. I am their friend.
Easy.
Good to meet you. A friend of a friend is my friend too. Or, as I like to say, a mate of a crewmate is part of the crew. Miss Yun is also here for the contest. Turns out she needed to borrow a boat, so we came together.
Ja, die borgen sich alle aus. Wir borgen sich mal einen Shichi aus, wir borgen uns einen riesen fetten Boot aus. Kein Ding.
It's an honor to finally meet you both. I've heard much about you. Miss Shenhe, though we are only meeting for the first time, I have a feeling that we will get along very well indeed. To be honest with you all, I am in great need of this opportunity to ask Lady Ningguang a question. That's why I joined the contest. Thanks to my father's connections, I was able to acquire a specimen of the plastrite required. Fortunately, it was approved for submission, despite being a little on the diminutive side. Wow! So it looks like the 3 of us are competitors now.
Ein bisschen, ja.
Excuse me for prying, Miss Shenhe, but are you competing as well?
Ja, wir sind ein Team.
No, I don't have any questions for Ningguang. I just wanted to help him win.
In that case, I have a proposal to make. Lady Ningguang said that the first 3 contestants to procure all 3 materials will be awarded the chance to ask a question. Well, there are 3 teams here. We can split the prize between us.
Das ist ja schon fast fair. Allerdings haben wir schon eine Sache gefunden. Findet ihr also jetzt alleine die beiden 2 oder finden wir trotzdem die beiden anderen und ihr hängt euch einfach hinten dran?
Instead of competing against each other, we could work together to secure the top 3 places between us. What do you think? Sounds great, but how does it change things exactly?
I think I see where you're going with this, Miss Yun. The plastrite was the most difficult item to source by a long shot. Luckily, all three of us managed to get our hands on it. The two remaining items aren't quite so rare, so as long as one of us finds a way to source it, the other two can hop on the bandwagon.
Ja, okay, ergibt erstmal Sinn.
How'd I do? Is that what you had in mind?
Precisely.
Huh. Interesting approach.
Okay then. All right, I'll go first. I have some leads on these wonder cores. From what I've heard, the core itself is really not that difficult to make. The hard part is getting hold of the ore used as raw materials. I'm gonna head back to the ship and ask Su Ling if he's heard of him. You guys...
We will head into town and seek advice from Master Zhang of Hanfeng's Ironmongers. Thoughts?
Ja, machen wir.
Wonderful. We'll split into teams then, and whoever makes progress first brings all of us a step closer to victory. I'm gonna take off. See you later.
Ja, da ist sie weg.
Okay, let's go! By the way, what question are you gonna ask Ningguang, YunYin? I'm looking for a venue to host the performance of our new opera. Lady Ningguang has excellent judgment, so I would like to hear her opinion.
Wow, da hättest du auch einfach einen Brief schreiben können und die hätte, glaube ich, geantwortet.
Ooh, what's the opera called?
Naja.
Paimon wants to go see it.
Naja.
The opera is a labor of love by my father. He wrote it based on a popular urban legend about an evil spirit and an adeptess. It's called The Divine Damsel of Devastation.
Oh, ein krasser Titel. Hallöchen, ich komme wieder über die Ecke hier. Oh shit, ich hab's kaputt gemacht. Hi.
Ah, hello. Are you here for something off the shelf? Or do you need something forged?
Alles.
Excuse me, Master Zhang. We were wondering if you'd heard of something called a Wonder Core.
Of course I have. Sorry, who's asking?
My name is YunYin. Perhaps you don't know me, but I believe that you forged some weaponry for my father in the past for
Das kann gut
stage
sein.
use.
Die hat so rote Augen.
YunYin? Stage use? Oh, so you must be Miss Yoon. Sorry, my brain's finally caught up. It's not used to doing much beyond bashing a hammer all day. Everyone's heard of you, Miss Yoon. Even folks who don't make it to the opera all that often.
Ja.
Like myself.
Weniger labern, mehr Wunderkerne beschaffen.
So, you're here to ask about wonder cores, huh? As it happens, I do know how to make them. Matter of fact, I made some for Lady Ningguang back when she was building the original Jade Chamber.
Ja. Willkommen zur alltäglichen, wöchentlichen, folglichen, zu unserer Dauerausgabe, warum die Übersetzung scheiße ist. Als Ningguang zuletzt das Jadekammer reparierte, habe ich auch dazu beigetragen. Das Jadekammer hat sie, beziehungsweise was er gesagt hat, ist aber, er hat die Wunderkerne damals gebaut, als Ningguang die erste Jadekammer gebaut hat, die Originale. Also, als Ningguang die Jadekammer damals gebaut hat, nicht repariert hat. Aber hey, machen wir
The
weiter.
types of ore needed to make wonder cores are a little hard to come by. Lady Ningguang supplied them herself last time. I don't suppose you've brought any yourselves?
Ich habe ganz viel dabei. Was brauchst du?
We were gonna ask you what kinds of ore we need.
Sure. Well, you'll need two kinds. Starsplinter iron and subrosium.
Okay, das Sternsplittererz habe ich, glaube ich. Das andere weiß ich nicht.
Correctly, Lady Ningguang sourced her Starsplinter iron from the Mount Tianheng area. They say it resonates with visions.
Oh no?
It
Ach,
could
keine
take
Ahnung.
some work, but if you stick with it, you'll find some eventually. As for the subrosium, though, that's trickier. Unheard of on the market.
Essenzerz.
I'm really not sure. Sorry. What I've heard is that the people around Mount Tianheng have some sort of magic trick that can pinpoint the location of the stuff.
Oh, ich frage Zhongli, der hat das bestimmt.
Of course, it's
Der weiß, wo
probably
das
just
ist.
hearsay. If you want my advice, start by looking for Starsplinter iron around Mount Tianheng. And if you run into any locals, ask them a few questions about subrosium.
Mount Tianheng.
Interestingly enough, the story of the divine damsel of devastation also takes place on that mountain. I hear the view there is quite spectacular. A favorite destination of the Adepti, in fact.
Ja, was ist dein Problem, Shenhe? Wollen wir da nicht hin?
Let's not delay. We should head straight there.
Oh, Shenhe hat keine Einwände.
I came to Mount Tianeng once with my father as a child. I remember it being such a long climb that I could barely feel my legs by the time we reached the top. This is quite a trip down memory lane for me. Look at these majestic towering peaks and the gently flowing streams. It's like setting foot in paradise. No wonder the legend of the divine damsel of devastation is said to have taken place here. Adepti wander oft where mortals seldom stride.
Ja, gut.
This looks like a place that one might expect to be frequented by Adepti.
Die hat deutlich mehr gesagt, als da stand.
The divine damsel of devastation is your upcoming opera, right? And the story takes place in Mount Tianheng. Seems like you have a real What's the story about, though? It's the story of a girl becoming a hero.
Wow, wie originell.
Cool! A hero story? They're Paimon's favorite! The legend first arose in this area. It is said that there used to be a prosperous village on the mountain.
Kann es sein, dass dieses Mädchen Shenhe ist?
In that village, there was a loving couple who were completely devoted to one another. One day, a terrifying monster appeared. The wife was out collecting herbs and was captured by the monster. Her husband was so distraught at the news that it broke his spirit and drove him to madness. The vile and vicious monster told the villagers, "If you want to live, you must sacrifice a child to me." What a nasty piece of work! Paimon sure hopes this monster gets put in its place!
Ja, wurde wahrscheinlich schon sehr lange.
But the monster was so terrible and so strong that all within the village were terrified of it. They had no choice but to give in to the monster's demand. Just while they were discussing whose child would be given over to the monster, a little girl suddenly stood up and came forward. No! Don't do it, little girl! Unbeknownst to anybody else, she was concealing an exorcist's blade. She approached the monster's lair, feigning fear and trepidation. When she finally arrived, she courageously drew her sword and entered into a fierce struggle with the monster, from which she eventually emerged as the victor.
Wichtig ist, da stand, sie verbarg ein Schwert, aber sie hat gesagt, so ein Zeremonie-Dingsbums durch, wie heißt es denn? Dämonenfänger durch, whatever.
Her extraordinary abilities drew the attention of the Adepti, and they took her as one of their own. Her story became the stuff of legends. But alas, the paths of mortals and Adepti seldom cross, and she would never again re-enter the mortal world.
YunYin darf ich vorstellen, der Charakter aus seiner Geschichte, Charakter YunYin.
And so, destined to grace the mortal realm for but a brief moment, she vanished like a wisp of smoke into thin air. That's how the opera ends.
I really like this story. But I personally think that perhaps the little girl was not as brave as the opera makes her out to be. I'm not sure she deserves all the praise she is given.
I've never considered that before. Opera is always an interpretation of the events it purports to portray. A certain degree of deviation from the truth is always inevitable. When my father wrote the script for this play, I suppose his intention was to inspire his audience with the character of the divine damsel.
Fair?
I think it's a great story. The ideal story.
Ja.
Well, it sure inspired Paimon! Let's go get ourselves some Sternsplittererz! Yeah!
Yeah! Wo ist das Zeug? Ja, irgendwo hier drauf, nehme ich an, ne? Oder hier hinter? Nein. Also dafür, dass ich das mit meinem göttlichen Auge sehen soll, sehe ich so absolut gar nicht. Ich guck mal, ob ich das von oben vielleicht besser sehe. Okay, das war das erste. Und da ist das zweite. Absolut kein Plan, wozu ich dafür mein göttliches Auge brauchte, weil... Es gibt mir eh keine Hilfe. So, what the fuck?
This should be enough Sternsplittererz iron. Now we just need to find
Naja.
that Sabrosium.
I think I saw a village on our way here. Master Zhang said we should ask the locals for help. Why don't we try there?
Ja, ich mach ja schon.
Hey, there really is someone here. YunYin, looks like you were right. Excuse us, sir. Can we ask you something?
Oh, was los?
Huh. He didn't seem to catch that.
Hello, sir. We were just passing by and wanted to ask if you happen to know anything about Sabrosium.
Oh.
Is he trying to tell us to look for clues in the village? Well, whatever. Guess we're on our own here. Shenhe, YunYin, let's have a look around.
Sorry, you can go ahead without me. I'd like to have a word with this gentleman.
Okay.
If that's okay with you, Uncle Mingjin.
Onkel.
It's...
Ah.
Shenhe.
Shenhe. You're alive. The rumors were true. So, all these years? I'm sorry, I don't know how to find Sabrosium.
Oh, lebt auf einmal wieder.
I think you can find some information in the village. This place is deserted now. No one ever comes here. So you can rummage around.
Na gut, aber dein Haus scheint ja doch gut zu stehen.
Huh? You know this guy, Shenhe?
Thank you, kind sir. We'll go and take a look around. Don't worry. Mingjin has no ill intention towards Miss Shenhe. She'll be quite safe.
Okay, then let's see what we can find in
Woher
this
willst du
village.
das wissen, dass der nicht böse ist? Vielleicht ist das ein Superpedo? I mean, möglich wär's. Haha, möglich wär's. Früher lebte im Osten des Dorfes eine Exorzistenfamilie, aber nach etwa 2 Wochen starb die Mutter. Warum laberst du?
Mount Tianheng.
Die kleine Tochter wurde vermisst und kurz darauf erhängt sich der Vater an einem Baum im Hof seines eigenen Hauses. Es wurde bestätigt, dass die Überreste eines bösen Archhones in dem Dorf gefunden werden. Die Dorfbewohner sind in Panik, da niemand sicher ist, ob die Überreste des bösen Archons endgültig verschwunden sind. Sei vorsichtig, wenn du dich in diesem Gebiet aufhältst. Okay.
Does this mean that the true story of the divine damsel of devastation happened right here in this village?
Möglicherweise.
The time frame certainly matches, so it seems we're in the right area. Let's keep looking around.
Let's keep looking around. Ja, in dem Haus oder wo wollt ihr, dass ich suche? Weil das Ding auf der Karte hat sich nicht wirklich bewegt. Doch, im Haus. Okay, dann habe ich es eben nur übersehen.
What's this?
Der Arzt hat gesagt, du seist schwer krank. Mach dir keine Sorgen, ich werde alles geben, was ich habe, um dich zu retten. Mein Herz tut weh, wenn ich sehe, wie du immer erschöpfter wirst und deine Krankheit nicht mehr zu behandeln ist. Wie sehr wünschte ich könnte den Schmerz für dich ertragen. Du hast gesagt, dass du in diesem Leben nichts bereust und dass du dir nur wünschst, dass ich mich gut um Shenhe kümmere. Aber wenn du nicht bereust, warum die Tränen? Ich weiß nicht, was ich in letzter Zeit getan habe. Obwohl ich noch atme, fühle ich mich komplett ausgelaugt. Ich habe alle alten Texte gelesen, die ich in der Finger bekommen konnte, um nach Wegen zu suchen, dich zu retten. Aber es ist völlig sinnlos. Endlich habe ich es gefunden. Es war Mingyun. Er hatte das Buch, das dich retten konnte, versteckt gehalten. Ich nahm es und folgte den Anweisungen, um einen Gott zu beschwören und ein Opfer darzubringen. Der Gott erschien. Ich sagte ihm, dass ich bereit sei, mein Leben gegen deines zu tauschen. Er schwieg und zeigte nur auf unsere Tochter Shenhe. Der Gott sagte, ihr Schicksal sei es, den Fluch des Unheils zu tragen und dass sie dazu neige, denen, die ihr nahestehen, Schaden zuzufügen. Der Gott sagte auch, dass sie vielleicht sogar die Ursache für deinen Tod war. Da es nun einmal so war, dachte ich, Ich habe sie in der Höhle zurückgelassen, die der Gott erwähnt hatte. 3 Tage sind vergangen und immer noch keine Nachricht. Das Warten macht mich unruhig. Ein unheilvolles Gefühl befällt mich. Es tut mir leid, meine Liebe, verzeih mir. Du auch, Shenhe. Bitte verzeih mir, wie dumm ich war, wie blind. Ich möchte mich bei euch beiden entschuldigen. Also, jemand ist krank, der Arzt sagt, mach geilen Shit, das Buch sagt, beschwör Gott, Gott sagt, wir wollen Shenhe haben. Na, den Rest kennen wir ja.
So, Shenhe is the divine damsel?
Yep.
Now that I think about it, she does behave rather like an adeptess, and she is about the right age. So that's why I've been getting the strangest feeling whenever I chat with her. I should have noticed it earlier. According to this text, the divine damsel from the opera was actually the daughter of the loving couple. And she didn't volunteer. She was sacrificed to the monster.
Ja, das
father.
Passiert ab und zu.
Oh, the truth is even more lamentable than the opera. Now I understand why Shenhe said the girl was not as brave as people think. It wasn't her choice to enter that ghastly situation. She was forced into it.
Sie war sehr wahrscheinlich. Sehr, sehr wahrscheinlich.
It looks like my father may need to make a few revisions to his beloved opera.
We've looked everywhere, but still no mention of Symposium. Let's have a look over there.
Let's have a look over there. Ja, wenn du mir auch wirklich mal sagen könntest, wo und nicht immer nur over there, dann muss ich auch nicht immer irgendwo dumm rumlaufen. Aufsammeln. Noch ein Stückchen Schrift. Die in geheimen Essenzerz eingravierte Magie lässt nicht so leicht nach. Manche glauben, dass diese gesteinerte Brücke zwischen den Lebenden und den Toten ist. Geheimessenzerz zu finden ist jedoch nicht einfach. Du musst zur richtigen Zeit am richtigen Ort sein. Die Legende besagt, dass du Geheimessenzerz finden kannst, wenn du in der Dämmerung in der Mitte des Sees südlich des Tianhang-Berges stehst und in Richtung der untergehenden Sonne schaust. Das schaffen wir.
Basically, we need to go to the middle of the lake south of Mount Tianheng at dusk, and we'll find us some Symposium. Let's go back and tell Shenhe the
Ja. Shenhe. Die tut so, als wenn das die einzige wichtige Person wäre. Und was ist mit mir?
One year when I was back visiting, I heard a story about a white-haired adeptess from a merchant passing by. I never imagined it was you. I was a very close friend of your father's. I could have stopped him from performing the summoning ritual. I had plenty of chances, but I couldn't bring myself to stand up to him. I just let things happen, let it all escalate. Well,
das ist natürlich doof.
I bring flowers back here every year. And each time I wish I had a chance to apologize.
Naja, war jetzt nicht wirklich deine Schuld. Ich meine, der Vater hat es ja trotzdem gemacht. Du hättest ihn zwar aufhalten können, ja, aber der Vater hat es am Ende gemacht.
Apologize for what? If you'd stopped him, he'd only have found another way. There is nothing he wouldn't have done for his true love.
Do you still hate him?
I don't know what I feel. I'm told my fate is to bear the curse of calamity, so my master bound my soul with red ropes to curb my aggression. But it also dampened my emotions, making me dispassionate, like the Adepti. So if you ask me how I feel about the past, if I hate my father or not, the truth is, I feel nothing at all.
Sollen wir die roten Fesseln mal abnehmen?
It must have been so tough for you all these years.
Shenhe, we're back!
Oh, then I will leave you all in peace. Shenhe, it brings me some solace knowing that you are okay. I'll tell you more about the old times next time we meet.
Okay.
Thanks, mister. We found some info in the end.
Bye.
Shenhe, look. This tells us how to find Symposium. All we gotta do is go to the middle of that lake.
Let's go then.
Nein, YunYin, Schnauze.
Miss Shenhe, there's something I'd like to talk to you about.
Ja, aber müssen wir dabei sein?
Just now, in the village, we found your father's diary. It turns out that many of the details in the Divine Damsel of Devastation are not true to the facts. So I'd like to change them.
Why?
Why?
I know I say that opera always deviates from the truth. But now that the main character is standing right here in front of me, I cannot simply dismiss your lived experience in favor of my father's fiction.
It's okay. I like your version.
Ja, ist doch gut. Mann, sie mag es. Nimm es einfach hin.
My master once said that the day I learn how to use my strength for the good of others is the day that I can truly become part of human society. So, I hope that one day I might be brave enough to stand up and protect others, just like the girl in the opera. But I've never thought this way before, and I wonder whether I will continue to think in this way.
Naja, du hast ja relativ viel schon geholfen, ne?
I believe you will. In fact, I think maybe you've already started to become the person you aspire to be. You just haven't had the opportunity to see.
Shenhe! YunYin! Cut this chit-chat! Let's go!
Ich wollte gerade sagen, hör auf!
Can't let someone else beat us to it!
Danke, endlich! Endlich sagt's mal einer. Geh zur Mitte des Sees. Ja, da können wir hinsprinten. Wir hätten die Teleporter auch nehmen können, aber hey. Für euch ist es ja eh geschnitten. Obwohl, nein, genau deswegen schneide ich es jetzt nicht. Einfach nur, damit ihr es erdulden müsst. Sag mal. Ich kann sagen, kann ja mal weggehen. 17:30 Uhr, die Uhr ist weird. Naja. Oh, guck mal. Da ist ein Yaksha. Das ist ja Xiao, der Süße. Wir kommen gleich zu dir, okay?
That's everything we need! Let's head back and report in! Paimon's curious if Beidou's made any progress.
Ich meine, warum steht er hier? Warum? Why? Warum bist du hier so random?
What brings you here? Have they found a solution to the danger in the sea?
Gefahren des Meers?
Ningguang didn't tell you. Something has happened in Guyun Stone Forest. According to the contract, as an Adeptus, I should not get involved for now.
What?
But these things can be unpredictable. I have a contingency plan of my own.
Xiao, was ist los?
Only a single mountain lies between here and Liyue Harbor. If things get out of control, I will defend this place myself.
Ach so, klar. Gut, braves Xiao. Mach weiter. Lässt du den auch einfach hier so liegen lassen und man den theoretisch nicht anquatschen muss? Oder mache ich noch einen Stream am Wochenende? Wir werden sehen.
Oh, goodness.
So, are they okay?
This is some top quality ore you found. I think I'll get a good end product out of these.
Nice.
Guess now it's my time to shine.
Hau mit dem Hammer ein bisschen
How's
rum.
the A-Team doing?
Oh, bitte hast du das Zeug? Ich will nicht noch eine dritte Sache finden.
Into a bit of a brick wall on my end. Suling's never seen a Wonder Core before, and says it'd take a lot of research for him to get up to speed.
Leave the Wonder Cores to me. I'll work on them while you go about your business. Don't worry. It won't take me too long.
Much obliged, Master Zhang. We
Beidou
should
war
look
also
into the
useless.
Adepti sigils next. But where should we find items relating to the Adepti?
Bei den Adepten vielleicht?
I'll sort that out.
Oh? You got this then?
Yes. I have been training with the Adepti for years. I know a thing or two about making sigils.
Ich meine, wir können auch Mr. Schalde, Mr. Tetaglia fragen. Der weiß, wie man die faken kann.
When
Das
we
reicht ja.
first met, I told you I came for the Jade Chamber, not the contest. In fact, I came specifically to deliver Adepti sigils. Master heard that Ningguang was planning to rebuild the Jade Chamber, so she sent me to deliver some Adepti sigils to her. Master also said she hoped that I can take this opportunity to rejoin human society. But now that I'm here, I wonder if I've been removed from the world for too long. There's so much basic knowledge that I lack.
Ach, Quatsch.
Maybe it won't work for me to stay here after all. But either way, I'm very glad to have met you. and I'll take care of those Adepti sigils.
Gut, wenigstens eine Sache müssen wir nicht selber machen.
Without knowing the ins and outs of your situation, I can't say whether you should stay or not. But now that our paths have crossed, we'll always have a connection. So if you're ever feeling down, come find me on my ship. There'll be a drink waiting for you.
Da die nicht wirklich Emotionen hat, wird die nie schlechte Laune haben. Aber, hey.
Master Zhang, I'll need to use your facilities to make the sigils.
Fine by me. I'm actually curious to see how the Adepti arts work.
Nice. 2 mit einem Schlag, quasi.
Whew. The sigils are ready. Though they are in some respects inferior to my master's, I can assure you there will be no quality issues.
I've finished forging the things you asked for, too.
Nice.
Right! Let's go submit them before someone else gets there ahead of us.
Ich glaube, die werden alle das nicht schaffen. Warte, von hier fliege ich doch auf die Jade Chamber rauf. Ist das geplant, dass er hier immer stehen bleibt? Oder wenn das Ding, was Xiao sagt, wahr ist, dann kann es sein, dass die Jade Chamber nochmal benutzt wird zum Zerstören. Aber dann hätte man die nicht so herrichten müssen, dann hätte man die einfach so rausschmeißen können, als riesigen Brocken. Die Frage ist, kann ich hier rein? Nein. Noch nicht oder einfach nie? Hui. Ach scheiße, ich muss doch eh da hoch. Naja, vielleicht kann ich an den Balken hoch. Sparen wir uns ein bisschen Weg.
Ningguang's little secretary! We found all the materials!
Oh, already?
Yep.
All 3 of you found them together. Okay, I see. The Wonder Cores and Adepti sigils look good. It seems that we found our winners.
Nice.
I hereby announce that the winners of this material procurement contest are the Traveler, YunYin, and Beidou.
Nice.
What? It's over already? I haven't even found the plush yet.
Ihr seid halt alle scheiße.
I can't believe it.
So close, but so far.
I'd like to invite our 3 winners to please proceed to the Jade Chamber, where Lady Ningguang is waiting for you.
Ich meine, ihr seht alle nicht aus wie Protagonisten, also habt ihr alle nicht gewonnen.
Where's Beidou? She was right here.
Captain Beidou has some business to attend to. She will join later. Please come with me for now.
All right then. Guess we'll head on up to the Jade Chamber first. This has been a long time coming. The last time we went up to the Jade Chamber was ages ago.
Wenn Xingqi, also wenn die das mit Xingqi jetzt einfach ignorieren, ne, das ganze Ding, dann, also der sagt einfach, ist wie meine Freundin. Welche Freundin? What the fuck?
Sigils with the Wonder Cores and insert them into the Jade Chamber's control compartment. The construction of the new Jade Chamber is now officially complete. Once the tethers are released, it will soar into the sky. Thank you all for your work. Now it is time for me to fulfill my promise.
Yeah!
Miss Yun, I've already heard something about the reason for your involvement. You are looking for a venue for your new opera, aren't you?
That's right. Lady Ningguang, I would like to hear your opinion.
The unveiling of Miss Yun's grand new opera surely requires a venue of equal grandeur. So what would you say if I proposed that we stage your first performance right here in the newly built Jade
Gut, das ist
Chamber?
weniger eine Frage als eher so ein Gefallen, den sie einlöst. Aber hey,
Jade
warum
Chamber
nicht?
offers a splendid panoramic view of the mountains and the bustling city. It is fitting for the finest performance to be hosted in the heavens.
Thank you, Lady Ningguang. Then I will prepare my props and other articles shortly. Please allow me to bring all these aboard the Jade Chamber.
You're quite welcome. It's truly what a good opera deserves.
A traveler, Shenhe, Paimon, I'll be leaving now. Do come and see my play when the time comes.
Ja,
You're
mach ich.
next. What is your question? I should clarify. I do not know your sister's whereabouts. Please, don't waste your question on this matter.
Danke. Warum sollte sie es auch wissen?
Wow, you're a mind reader, Ningguang. Oh well, guess Paimon will ask a question then.
Nein, bitte nicht.
Managing a successful business is not as simple as you might think.
Oh
Capital,
my God.
connections, sensitivity to the trends, an instinct for what is a good opportunity. If you want to know how to make money, I will honor our agreement and give you an answer. But that is not to say that it will work for you.
Wow, Paimon hadn't even asked the question yet.
Your question was written all over your face. Now look, you helped me rebuild the Jade Chamber, and I intend to repay you handsomely for it.
Das ist auch cool. Ihr habt einen großen Gefallen getan und ich werde euch nie schlecht behandeln. Im Englischen sagt sie, sie will uns dafür gut bezahlen.
So I promise you that should you one day require financial assistance, you may seek employment here. I will pay you at the highest rate of remuneration.
Oh, great! So next time we run out of Moro, we just need to come to Ningguang?
Ich meine, wir können überall hingehen. Unsere Dienste sind echt nicht schlecht.
No more questions from us. Shenhe, you got a question?
Wir haben unsere Question einfach gewastet?
Me?
Yes, this is a group effort.
Thank you. But I don't have anything to ask.
Are you sure? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'd urge you not to squander it.
Yeah, just don't waste it. Hold on a second. Paimon can probably think of another one.
Fragt doch einfach, was bei diesen Kaktürmen vor sich geht, was uns Xiao erzählt hat.
Lady Ningguang, do you think I can ever fit in Liyue Harbor?
Ich hasse alle hier.
Now that is an interesting question. Liyue Harbor is very inclusive. As long as you respect the rules here, you will not be turned away. So, the key is whether or not you yourself can develop a sense of belonging in Liyue Harbor.
Huh. A sense of belonging?
Yes. To become fond of a place, to feel part of it, it always requires a reason. Perhaps someone you've met, or something you've experienced here. Or perhaps you enjoy the atmosphere of Liyue, and you will become accustomed to it. In short, everyone needs a reason to stay. I hope you can find yours soon.
Wurde dafür jetzt echt unsere Frage gewastet?
I see.
Hey, what's going on? I just went to see the fleet a little later than expected.
Come on, Beidou, it's your turn. Do you have a question for Ningguang?
Me? Nah, I ain't got any questions. She forced me to help out, so I figured I may as well get involved with the contest.
Können wir deine Frage wenigstens haben und ist wirklich das Wichtige fragen?
Ningguang, don't forget what we talked about. It's not gonna be easy to deal with. I don't think my fleet can take it on their own.
Don't worry. I have made preparations. The wound dressings are ready, and the Millilith have set up an ambush.
Glad to hear it. Watch your back. Stay alert.
Will uns nur ein...
Ningguang, what are you talking about?
You'll see when the Jade Chamber ascends. However, it's not the most pleasant topic of conversation. Maybe it's better that you don't know. When I first set foot in the Jade Chamber, I stood at the edge of the platform and looked down upon Liyue Harbor far below.
Ich meine, am Ende haben wir Xiao, der alleine die Stellung hält.
At that time, I dreamed that one day the Jade Chamber's shadow would be seen in all 7 nations of Teyvat. My wish has not changed to this very day. However, it is not only out of consideration for myself that I have built the Jade Chamber anew at this time. I hope the Jade Chamber will always float in the skies above Liyue Harbor, bearing witness to the prosperity and peace of the human world. And I hope that you can all witness it with me. Let the Ascension ceremony commence!
Cutscene? Cutscene. Yes! Plonk. Das war die dümmste Art, die Seile loszuwerden, aber gut. Ja, moin. Du nochmal. Also haben wir die einfach nur gebaut, um sie wieder zu zerstören? Nice job.
Right on cue. The Avenger of the Vortex, Beidou.
Who is that?
Osial's wife. Final follower of the Overlord of the Vortex.
Sounds like you knew this was coming.
Beidou sensed something was stirring in the deep. She warned me months ago. Knowing she harbors hatred toward the Jade Chamber, I chose to rebuild it now as a way of drawing her out.
Got it. Well, let's go fetch the Adepti.
No. In this human age, the people of Liyue must find a way to overcome this crisis on our strength alone.
Damn. Gut, wenn die vorbereitet sind, geht's auch deutlich einfacher, ne? Und Ganyu ist auch so ein halber Adeptus. Also... Wow, wir sind ein bisschen scheiße, kann das sein? Wir können den Raiden Shogun abwehren, aber nicht so ein bisschen Laserstrahlen.
You are a cursed child. Your life brings nothing but disaster to us all. At least if you die, I can bring her back.
The day you learn how to use your strength for the good of others is the day that you can truly become part of human society.
What are you doing here?
We can't let you be the only one taking this risk!
I hardly see this as a great risk. The people of Liyue Harbor are well prepared.
Okay.
She is already badly injured. Only sheer willpower is keeping her alive. I may be nearing the end of my stamina, but in a fight to the death, I think I have the upper hand.
Sieht cool aus hier.
We'll help too!
Weiß ja nicht, ob ich sie angreifen kann aktuell. Oh, ich hoffe, das wird ein Weekly Boss oder so ein Shit.
You will regret this! Obey! Manifest!
Spirit Blade! Attack! A touch of frost!
Ich habe da keinen Doppelhit gekriegt. Nicht wehtun, bitte.
Do your master's bidding! Obey!
Nein, ich will die da hinten angreifen. Aber da komme ich nicht hin. Geht mir auf die Eier, dass sie so wenig HP, mit so wenig HP überleben durfte. Aua. Das tut weh.
Unleash!
Gut, 2 davon sind wohl down. Shenhe hat nicht mehr viel HP.
Everyone on me!
Obey! Unleash!
A touch of frost. Forth, my blade, from whence you came.
Ja.
She's getting away! Shouldn't we go after her?
Au!
This place is unstable. It is too risky to continue pursuing her. If the place collapsed, the consequences would be disastrous. Let's head back.
Kriege ich so ein Ding noch in die Ecke. War ein interessanter Boss. Alles cool?
I'm just a little exhausted. Otherwise, fine. I wanted to deal with it myself. I didn't expect you to follow me. Don't worry. She's not coming back anytime soon. After an injury like that, she'll likely seek refuge somewhere else.
How did things go underwater?
Ganz okay.
It's been dealt with. She was injured before entering the water. It didn't take too much effort to finish the job.
Good. So the crisis has been safely averted. When you...
Lady Ningguang,
die hat schon wieder so eine riesen Pause
the
gemacht.
sea monster has left Guyun Stone Forest and the surrounding waters have returned to normal.
Thank you. How are the Millilith?
Thanks to the medical supplies you prepared and Lady Keqing's command, our losses were minimal. Of course, we owe huge thanks to this young lady for her help. On behalf of the entire Millilith, thank you for your service.
Ja, sie ist eine Heldin.
Great. Then next time I watch Miss Yun's opera, I'll be able to take the compliments. I wasn't trying to be a hero, though. I just wanted to protect you.
Let the soldiers recuperate, but don't let your guard down. If she returns with a vengeance, we must be prepared.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been monitoring us for some time now. I trust you've reached a conclusion.
Oh, hi. Ja, bevor die spricht. Ningguang will, oder auch die Adepten, dass sie den Shit selber regeln, die Menschen. Ja, weil die Menschheit stark genug ist. Praktisch haben die eine Armee aus Heiladepten, die irgendwelche Adeptenwaffen waren und einer riesigen Jadekammer, die mit die Adeptenenergie zusammengehalten ist und diverse Leute mit Augen. Das ist halt eigentlich nicht so die normalen Menschen. Aber hey, ihr habt quasi Adepten, ohne Adepten zu haben.
You wish to hear one's opinion. Well, things would have hardly gone so smoothly had it not been for Shenhe.
That I do not deny. However, final victory was always going to be ours, even had things been a little more arduous. If it came to it, I could always destroy another Jade Chamber.
One has observed your adaptation of the Guizhong Ballista, and find oneself compelled to admit that you have evidenced some degree of novel thinking. You have learned from past failures and prepared for this crisis in advance. This is considerable progress compared to the last time. Hence, on balance, one finds your performance during this trial satisfactory enough.
Oh,
there will
nett.
no doubt be further trials to come in the future. Do not suppose that one will not continue observing you hereafter.
Ich meine, es ist egal, wie viele Aufgaben bekommen. Sie muss alle schaffen, denn wenn sie nicht alle schafft, sind alle tot. So, und damit nicht alle tot sind, müssen die Adepten sowieso immer drüber wachen. Also praktisch haben sie genauso viel Arbeit wie vorher, ohne dass sie aktiv Arbeit machen.
While the position of Tianquan remains mine, I will always ensure Liyue's safety.
Shenhe, one saw you secretly venture out from the mountains a few years ago, and noticed the air of dejection in which you returned. Hopefully this trip to Liyue Harbor has been a different experience.
Yes. I can't explain it, but I feel happier than I expected.
Good. Traveler, please take good care of Shenhe. She is a dear child. In fact, one has many fond memories of Shenhe's childhood that she may be interested to hear about.
Oh.
There'll be no need for that.
No.
Oh. They are all like this. Fine. Since you care not to listen, one shan't be telling you.
Okay, bye.
Please, have a good rest. Come to the Jade Chamber when you have recovered your energy. We must celebrate both the completion of the Jade Chamber and the fact that Liyue has weathered another crisis. This banquet must be the most spectacular ever.
Ich frage mich auch, was unsere Idee war, der riesigen Schlange ins Gesicht zu springen. Wie heißt es, die Todeswelle, die wäre ja trotzdem geflogen. Ich darf mit euch nicht reden? Hör doch auf, Parkour zu machen, Chongyun. Kitching, hi.
The Millilith's casualties are within the range we expected. But in hindsight, there were still flaws with our plan. If we'd had more time, we could have built a barrier here to absorb the impact of the waves. We must learn from this experience and never repeat the same mistakes again. We were fortunate to have your assistance this time. Thank you.
Ich meine, ihr hättet auch noch einen Chongyun fragen können oder einen Zhongli oder diverse andere Leute, die ein Auge haben und in Liyue wohnen und irgendwas gegen die Wellen machen hätten können. Aber gut. Ihr seid halt arrogante Kackkinder und nehmt nicht alle Leute mit, sondern nur 2, 3 Stück oder so.
Wow! Everyone's already seated! It's Paimon's first time attending a banquet in the Jade Chamber. The food here looks amazing.
All of you here are my distinguished guests. I am determined that each of you thoroughly enjoys yourself. Those who don't drink alcohol, please, help yourself to other beverages. Fine wine is a delight to the senses, but it is far from the only one.
Ningguang, geht's dir gut?
I trust you will find the marvelous view from the Jade Chamber to be an equally gratifying indulgence.
Have you heard? Miss Yun's going to be performing today.
Sure have. Honestly, it's the main reason I'm here. I've never missed any of Miss Yun's performances, and I don't intend to start now. I hear she's going to perform The Divine Damsel of Devastation today, the one written by her father. I've been so excited that I've barely slept the last few nights.
Hey, look! Miss Yun is going on stage!
Yay. Können wir das skippen, oder? Ich meine nicht, dass es interessant wäre, aber so interessieren tut es mich auch nicht. Was eigentlich die Definition von interessant ist, aber egal. Ja gut, mit der Cutscene überlebe ich's. Miau, miau.
神谕批冠到这里本该接近尾声，
但今日我再添一笔，唱与诸位听。彼时鹤归，茫茫天地无依靠，孤身离去。今日再会，新朋旧友坐满堂，共聚此时。
What did you think?
Naja.
I thought I sang rather well.
Ist halt nicht mein Genre, sind wir ehrlich. Was heißt Oper, ist es nicht unbedingt ein Genre, ist halt einfach nicht meins.
It was beautiful. Paimon wants to learn too.
It was wonderful. Also, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks to you, the divine damsel of devastation is a more nuanced tale than ever. The play has an ending, but life goes on. I believe you will find a way to fit in Liyue Harbor.
Thank you. I think I've found the opportunity I needed to change.
Ms. Yun, here you are. Great, huh? Hey, this young lady with the white hair looks like some kind of VIP. Yeah, that's it, like an Adeptus. Wait, you're the girl from the opera, aren't you? The divine damsel herself. And look who else we have here, the illustrious traveler. Well, I'll be. This was definitely worth showing up for. Let me pull up a chair, all right. We'll all have a friendly chat, get better acquainted.
Nein, danke.
Alternatively, you could leave us alone. That is, if you'd prefer to finish your drink via the orifice of your own choice.
Uh-oh, this feels all too familiar. Shenhe's back to her old self again.
Ich meine, er ist auch ein Arsch und das ist eine okaye Reaktion von Shenhe.
Hey, what are you doing?
Calm down, Shenhe. Calm down.
Nice, das war's.
To act, one must first feel. After our trip to Mount Tianheng together, I felt much more in touch with the character today. I believe I was able to deliver a more profound performance because of it. Next time I have a new opera, may we study the character together again.
Wegen meiner.
You've made an exceptional contribution toward the building of the new Jade Chamber. I will not forget this. I shall be sure to repay your kindness at an appropriate juncture.
Gib mir doch einfach jetzt mein Geld.
Now that I think about it, I'm glad Master sent me here to deliver the sigils. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the chance to meet you. I'm sure I have much to learn from you in the future.
Cool. Und wir dürfen jetzt auch reingehen. Ja, da sehe ich es doch schon blinken. Hallöchen bei Xiao. Oh, das ist dann auch alles, ne? Hier haben wir noch ein neues Buch für die Buchsammler unter euch. So, aber das war's dann. Ich sag's mal so, vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und wir sehen uns bestimmt nochmal wieder. Haut da rein.